Hi guys, this is Melissa Zad for Intu Boxing, and I am delighted to be joined by none other than the Professor, Xavier Miller. How are you doing?
I'm good, good.
What did you make of the show tonight? We've just had the main event, Usyk v Bentley. Bentley has been crowned as the new British middleweight champion. What did you make of the fight?
Fantastic fight. I love British title fights anyway. Really, really good fight. I thought Linus started really well. Put Bentley on the back foot. Bentley looked uncomfortable, but he kind of got into the fight. You know, he started to look like he had a lot more confidence. Started to put Linus on the back foot a bit, and I think the key is that Bentley finished the fight better. And I'm not sure why Linus decided to move around in the last round too much. He can't really do it in a close fight. And I think Bentley won it by a round. If it had been a draw, couldn't have complained. I would have liked to draw, actually, see a rematch, but I think Bentley, you know, he looked like he wanted it a little bit more. Actually, they both looked like they wanted it. I know both guys. It's hard for me to say, but it's just a great fight.
Very, very diplomatic response. I like it. I'll be honest, when I was watching it, I had it as a draw. But you know, Linus being the Wasserman fighter, I kind of felt like if it went to points, it would have been a Linus decision. So I was pleasantly surprised, I must say.
I don't like thinking about those things. I know that the judges have got their job to do. As a fighter and a coach in the corner, you know, you can only do what you can do, and then you just have to leave it to the judges' hands. You can't think like that, because you know, then it's going to get into the fight's head.
Sadly, it's just the politics of the boxing, right?
Yeah, it happens, but we try to stay away from it.
I was pleasantly surprised, as I say, with the result tonight. I think you're right, though. It was quite interesting to see the transition, because obviously Linus had Bentley on the back foot for about half of the fight, and then it switched around. Who would you like to see? Because obviously we've seen Bentley against Cash.
Yeah.
And obviously that was when Bentley was defeated by Cash. Who would you like to see Bentley face next?
I'm not sure. Like, who else is in the middleweight division at the moment? I was excited about this fight. I wasn't really thinking about anybody outside of it. I know Cash, different level. You know, he's not really far from a world title fight. There's not really much else. I mean, there's guys in 5, 6, 8 pro fights. Maybe he could fight one of those guys. But he's won the British title again now. I mean, it'd be good for him to vacate and maybe go for a Commonwealth. That's what I would do if I was Bentley. I mean, you've already won it once. You got the belt back. So, you know, vacate and go for Commonwealth. Nice. Or go European.
Or European, yeah, 100%. 100%. Obviously, we've just seen the Canelo Bivol fight last weekend. When I woke up, because I'll be honest, I didn't watch it on the night. When I woke up the next day and I went on my Instagram feed and I saw that Bivol had won, I wasn't massively surprised. Although I did in my mind think Canelo would probably take the win. What did you make of the performance, Bivol's performance?
This is going to be controversial now, but I've got to be honest with you. There's a lot of noise about Bivol's performance, but I wasn't overly impressed, I've got to be honest with you. And the reason I say that is because, to me, Canelo, after 4 or 5 rounds, he looked like he was in too deep. He looked like he was happy to just get to the 12th round. And to me, Bivol being the bigger, stronger fighter, I think he should put more pressure and try to stop Canelo. I think he should have just done a bit more. I think he played it quite safe. You could see clearly early in the fight, Canelo did not have the power to hurt him. He was very comfortable catching everything on the gloves. But when you've got a fighter like going down the hill, you know, you need to push him. And I didn't see that from Bivol. You know, you've got a smaller guy, you know, he's a naturally smaller guy. Canelo could really be a middleweight, you know, and you know, up at light heavyweight, you know, you've got all the advantages. I would have liked to see him in the second half of the fight really push Canelo and take him to a place where, you know, he doesn't want to be there anymore. But what he did was he got Canelo to the ropes. I understand what he was doing. You don't want to fall into the trap because you don't want to get countered by Canelo. But at the same time, they had a good game plan where they didn't just have one phase, they had 2 or 3 phases. And that's where Canelo was getting caught. Seeing that and Canelo's not coming back with anything, put your foot on the pedal and see if you can get him out of there. He's a much smaller fighter. And that's what I'd like to see. That's why I like 90s boxing. See, someone like Tommy Hearns get you in that kind of predicament, more than likely you're not going to get out of it. Same with Julian Jackson, you're not going to get out of it. You know, Mike McCallum, same. You know, even Donald Curry at welterweight. These kind of guys, you know, go for the finish if they see a fighter looking like that. Canelo had nothing to offer after 6 rounds. I think he's an amazing fighter, Canelo, honestly, because even to compete like 2-3 weight divisions out of your division is crazy. It just goes to show you how special he actually is. But for Bivol, you fought at that weight your whole career. You get a smaller guy, deal with him. You know, Canelo, it wouldn't be a good idea for Canelo to take a rematch either, not against that guy.
Do you think that he will take that rematch? Because I have a sense that he will take it purely as like an egotistical kind of like not really accepting his defeat against Bivol and wanting to take the rematch and prove himself.
Yeah, I mean, the Kovalev fight, to me again, that fight looked like a sparring match. Kovalev wasn't really trying, so to me, you can't take anything from that. That wasn't a real light heavyweight fight to me, because Kovalev didn't like he wanted to win. This was a real one. This is what it's like at that division, and I don't think he's got a chance of beating him at that division. I mean, there's talk of him going down to Canelo's weight. I think it's 168, and trying to challenge Canelo for all his belts. That will probably be a better idea for Canelo because it's more suited to his weight. Then you're going to be bringing Bivol down, but to fight him again that weight.
It's a tough one, really. I mean, there was a lot of, I saw a lot of talk on social media afterwards about, because obviously Craig Richards, who's fighting next week against Whyte.
Great fight.
Yeah, great fight, and we'll talk about that in a moment, but he faced Bivol for a world title, and he came up just short, you know, it was like a round or two off the win. So there was a lot of talk on social media afterwards about how Richards gave Bivol more trouble. What do you make of that statement?
Yeah, but Craig Richards is a natural light heavyweight now. You know, he's been that weight for quite a while, so that's what I'm saying about it's a different puzzle. Canelo was too small, you know, and everyone got carried away because of what he did to Kovalev. Like, they won a real fight. So, but Craig Richards, every time he puts in a good performance, he doesn't get knighted for it. I mean, he's a very good fighter, Craig. Really underrated. I don't know why he has to always do that bit more. Why has he got to be the guy who has to always do more? But sometimes that's just the way it is. And this fight against Whyte, like this tonight, genuine 50-50. I think, again, Craig Richards fought the better competition. I think he's been tested that little bit more. But, you know, Whyte is the star coming through. I mean, the medalist, you know, we've got a lot of belief in him. I know both guys. I don't want to say too much, but I don't know. If I had to, slightly favour Richards at this moment, just slightly. But I think, again, it's going to be a very close fight. Might well be another split decision.
I appreciate that you weren't super diplomatic about it as well, because I know a lot of people who know both guys and they're very, very diplomatic.
It was hard.
Yeah.
It's only because I've seen Craig Richards tested more.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, his resume of the last year or 2 years has just been a little bit, you know, a little bit of better value than I think the Whyte has been tested, as you say. You know, it would be remiss of me to do an interview with you and not ask about recent events. Obviously, we had Tyson Fury face Dillian Whyte, your boxer. I mean, at first it was a real occasion, and actually Dillian Whyte was afforded the opportunity to take a fight at the level that he should be, something that he's not been afforded the chance to do for a long time. What are your reflections?
It's difficult because I'm still thinking about the fight. Because in camp, it was fantastic. It just couldn't really get off the way he wanted to. We were throwing single shots instead of trying to double them up, but that's easier said than done because when you land one good shot against Tyson, he moves. So which means you've got to get your feet in position to land the second shot. You know, we need that double step to get in a bit closer. We started off doing the right things because, you know, in my mind, the pace of the fight would have slowed down around the 6th or 7th round, and you've got to be hitting the body to do that, which Dillian was doing. But you know, Dillian opened himself up to throw a shot, a left hook or left uppercut. Can't do that out of range, and we got punished for it. You know, but Dillian knows the mistake he made. You know, he's devastated about it. You know, so am I. So is the whole team. We're all very, very close. But listen, it's you know, you fail, you come back and you try again. I mean, a lot of fighters didn't win it the first time. Some guys have had to, like George Groves, had to maybe the 3rd, 4th attempt he won a world title. You know, same with Bruno. You don't always get what you want the first time. but Dillian is good enough to win a world title, most definitely good enough. And there's a lot of good fights out there. I like the Andy Ruiz fight. I'd like him to drop down a level, have a comeback fight, more of a B, maybe around a B-class level fight, and then go for the world title again. But yeah, Dillian's got a long way to go. And like I say, because he's only had 6-7 amateur fights, there's a lot of things that I'm teaching him now that he wouldn't have got to early in his career. So he's still playing catch up. He understands that, but he's gifted because he's a natural fighter. And I know people are not going to understand that, but a lot of guys have had that long amateur career, been to the Olympics, they've medalled. Dillian didn't do any of that, so a lot of that education early, Dillian skipped that, but he's operating at the highest level. It will click, it will come together, and hopefully, next time we get a world title shot, we'll grab it with both hands.
I have a couple of questions to ask you based off of performance. So the first one was, obviously there's been quite a lot of question about why he came out southpaw. What was, if you can reveal it, what was your strategy and what was the game plan?
Yeah, I know a lot of people are questioning why he came out southpaw, but they obviously don't know about Dillian's early career. In his early pro career, some of his fights he did switch southpaw. He can switch southpaw. Dillian's got a good boxing brain. He came out and did what he wanted in the first round. A lot of guys when they come up in the first round, they feel each other out. That was his way of feeling him out. He was quite comfortable. He was getting through on the back foot, and then second round they both switched. Which was interesting. But I felt Dillian getting closer and closer, a little bit closer and closer, but he took a gamble too early. That's all it was. But you know what? Honestly, Tyson Fury on that night was on his A game. He was as good as I've seen him for a long time. The Wilder fights, even though they're exciting, fundamentally, technically, they weren't great. He was technically sound here, and he was calm under pressure, used his height and his range really well. And instead of complaining about the loss, I'd rather credit the guy that won and say, you know what, you did your job, you did well that night. But we'll come again.
I mean, I think it's fair to say that at the end of the day, Tyson Fury is not only one of the, if not the biggest heavyweight, but also like his IQ, his boxing IQ is extremely high. It was a really tough fight for Dillian to take with that opportunity. He could have very easily gone for an easier fight, actually.
And that's exactly what's wrong with boxing. If you take on the toughest challenges, you fight the real heavyweight champion, and then you get ridiculed for it. Whereas other fighters, they wait until there's a weak champion in the division, and then they want to grab the belt and run off with it. Dillian wanted to do it the hard way and the right way. That's why I say to the guys in my gym, watch what Dillian's done. He fought good guys, so so when he got there, he was well prepared. He was very, very confident. The whole camp we were really confident, but on the night things just didn't come together. But I've got a lot of love and respect for Dillian. I just wanted to see him come back. You don't want to finish your career on a loss anyway. Not like that. And we won't. We're going to come back. Yeah, 100%.
Last question for you, Zav. Usyk, Johsua rematch. What's your predictions?
I want Johsua to win, and for selfish reasons, because I want to see the rematch with Dillian. For selfish reasons, it's a really hard fight. Again, we go back to the amateur experience, some of the schooling. If you know your boxing, a lot of the elite guys now, your Errol Spence, your Crawford, Shakur, all these guys. Fantastic amateur pedigree, medalists. There's a reason they start boxing at 9, 10, 11 years old. So when they get to this level, they're really comfortable, really confident. Usyk's no different. And he just looks a little bit smoother than a lot of the heavyweights at the moment. And even though he's smaller, I warn people, because they were saying that he didn't look good early on when he went up to heavyweight. You have to know your boxing. Sometimes it takes a while for you to get accustomed to the weight. And once you do, you get comfortable. Same with Evander Holyfield. When he moved up, didn't look great the first couple, but look what he went on to do. So it's going to be a really tough fight for Johsua. I can't call it right now. Maybe close to the fight I'll have a better idea, but right now, I'm thinking about the fighters in my own gym more than anything else.
Do you know what? They don't call you the professor for nothing. Thank you so much, Zaf.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.